Mr. Deputy Speaker, I rise to speak about a fantastic event I attended last Saturday, which was a very spirited and passionate rally of people on the parliamentary lawns to protect the critically endangered swift parrot. That special, beautiful little parrot is one of the most charming, whimsical and colourful parrots in the world. It is certainly the fastest little parrot in the world, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And it is also, sadly, 5 years ago on Saturday, now listed as critically endangered. It was hoped with the listing of that parrot as being critically endangered that would enervate this government into swinging behind the sorts of recovery plan that is needed to protect that swift parrot. But the rally of people on Saturday was there because it is clear that the situation for the swift parrot is going downhill, and it is on the head of this Liberal government and its policies and its continued destruction of the habitat of swift parrot that bird remains extremely threatened. It is, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the swift parrot on the brink of extinction, and we are so lucky to be home to that little bird. It flies here every year from lower mainland states to feed on flowering nectar of large gums and to breed in the hollows of very large gums. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, thanks to our glorious forests, particularly in the southern forests and the eastern forests of Tasmania, that bird has made its way for untold millennia to Tasmania to continue its breeding and survival. It is a gift that it visits us, and we have a responsibility to look after it. And we know that every single nesting tree matters, and every single flowering gum that the swift parrot feeds from also matters. It has it moves round, and as we would know, flowering gums flower in different places in different years, and so it is more important than ever that all of those trees the swift parrot uses are retained. But instead, this government has been changing planning schemes apace and doing everything it can to make land clearing easier. It's been weakening federal protections and it's been working with the federal government to create a one-stop shop to weaken our environmental laws. We've got a Minister for the Environment who is signing off on the blocking of tree hollows so that the swift parrot won't be in those trees when they're chopped down for road widening up in the northeast. But in so doing, it is a death by 1,000 cuts for that little parrot, because if they can't nest in the tree hollows, then they will not be able to breed, there will be no chicks, and there will be no generations of swift parrots. So day on day, decisions are being taken by the Minister for the Environment to hasten extinction of this bird. But the front line in the war on wildlife of this government has to be the continual spoon-feeding of the mendicant native forest logging industry. When the Liberals came to government just after the swift parrot, or just before the swift parrot was listed as critically endangered, they did come with a promise to ramp up forestry logging. And we've seen loggers back into carbon-rich, biodiverse, old-growth forests, and many of those forests are a critical habitat for the swift parrot. On top of that, the 2019 fires destroyed an enormous amount of habitat in southern forests that the swift parrot would have nested with trees that they would have nested in or fed from. But that didn't stop Forestry Tasmania from going into those forests. In fact, they've gone into the southern forests with a vengeance since the 2019 fires. So the Liberals have tried to legitimise this smash and grab logging operations that they endorse by attempting to get forest stewardship certification. And the government has tried twice since they've been in this place in government, twice, and they've failed twice, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Why is that? Because they keep logging swift parrot habitat. They will never, ever, this government will never get forest stewardship certification while it continues to log this swift parrot habitat. But thank goodness that we've got the organisations that were there on Saturday, like the Bob Brown Foundation, the Forestry Watch, the Wilderness Society, Tree Project, Extinction Rebellion, Doctors for the Environment, Mr Deputy Speaker, the North East Bioregion Network. Well, Shane, Mr Broad just is piping up that they're all the same. He should get out more. He should meet some of these people. Has Mr Broad met and spoken to the two wonderful ANU researchers who are here in Tasmania studying the swift parrot habitat, Doctors Dejan Stojanovic and Doctors Matt Webb? They are the hallmarks of the difficult bird group. They call themselves difficult to study and difficult, it seems, to save under the policy of this Liberal government. So we have to have a robust planning system. We have to have strong federal laws so that we have independent checks and balances. We reject the move, of course, to establish bilateral agreements with the federal government that would reduce the federal government's role as taking approvals under the EPBC Act. And most of all, most critically of all for the swift parrot habitat, we have to end native forest logging in Tasmania. The Greens won't stop until we do everything we can to protect the swift parrot habitat. We'll fight with everything we've got because they are such special, colourful, beautiful little birds.
Member for Franklin, Ms. Pachuzma.